Welcome to C.Tube, where ancient Chinese strategy meets modern life. Through timeless tales of power, wisdom, and intrigue, we decode the art of decision-making, self-awareness, and navigating the complexities of career and life. Let history be your greatest teacher. In today's story, we journey back to the early Han Dynasty, where a seasoned general-turned-chancellor faced a choice: intervene boldly or lead quietly from the shadows. More than just a tale of war and power, this is a story about restraint, balance, and the rare wisdom of doing less to achieve more. Let's step into the moment and see what it reveals about the power of knowing your role and holding your ground. Part 1. A war hero turned statesman. In the early days of the Han Dynasty, Cao Can was one of Liu Bang's most loyal generals. He fought fiercely in the wars that led to the founding of the empire, and was later granted the title of Marquis of Pingyang. After Liu Bang's eldest son, Liu Fei, was appointed king of Qi, Cao Can was sent to serve as chancellor of the Qi kingdom. At the time, the empire was newly established, and everything needed rebuilding. Seeking wise counsel, Cao Can invited a renowned scholar named Master Guy, a practitioner of the Taoist Huanglao philosophy, to his residence. Master Guy taught him, "The art of governance lies in quiet, non-intervention. Everything has its natural course, let it flow, and peace will follow." Deeply inspired, Cao Can offered Master Guy his main hall and began studying under him day and night. Over the next 9 years, Cao Can ruled Qi with remarkable success, not by interference, but by restraint. Part 2. Governing by inaction. When the famous Chancellor Xiao He passed away during Emperor Hui's second year, Cao Can sensed he would be called to succeed him. As expected, an imperial envoy soon arrived. Cao Can left Qi and took his new post as the empire's chancellor. Surprisingly, he made no new laws, introduced no reforms, and changed nothing Xiao He had established. Instead, he strictly followed existing policies. He dismissed officials who valued flashy rhetoric and self-promotion, replacing them with honest, practical administrators. Once this groundwork was in place, Cao Can did something few expected. He spent his days enjoying fine wine and seemed detached from state affairs. This alarmed many. "Chancellor Cao does nothing. What if the emperor blames him?" worried officials whispered. Some tried to advise him, but every time someone came to offer serious counsel, Cao Can greeted them with wine. "This wine is rich and mellow. Have a drink before we talk," he'd say. Before long, guests were too tipsy to make their case. The talk of urgent governance faded into drunken laughter. His relaxed attitude spread. Even lower officials began lounging at home, singing and drinking. Hearing their merrymaking from his garden, Cao Can smiled and said, "How joyful they sound. Bring more wine, let's sing too." Part 3. When doing nothing meant doing everything. Word soon reached Emperor Hui. Ministers warned him that the chancellor indulged in leisure, ignored misconduct, and failed to consult the throne on important matters. Alarmed, the emperor summoned Cao Can's son, Cao Mi, who served at court. "I want you to speak to your father not as a command, but as a son's concern," the emperor said. "Tell him, the founder is gone. I am young. You are chancellor of the realm, yet you spend your days drinking and fail to advise me. How will the empire thrive?" Cao Mi delivered the message and was beaten soundly by his father. The next day, Emperor Hui confronted Cao Can. "Why did you beat your son?" "He spoke words he shouldn't have. But those were my words." "Forgive me, Your Majesty, I did not know. I only meant to remind you to take your duty seriously," the emperor said. Then Cao Can calmly asked, "Your Majesty, who was wiser and stronger, Your Highness, or the late Emperor Gaozu?" "Of course, my father," the emperor replied. "And between myself and Chancellor Xiao He, who was more capable?" "Perhaps Chancellor Xiao." Then Cao Can concluded, "Since Emperor Gaozu and Xiao He established the laws that brought peace, should we not preserve them? My job is not to invent new policies, but to protect the foundation they built." Cao Can remained chancellor for 3 years. He upheld Huanglao principles, stayed out of the spotlight, and let capable officials carry out established policies. In doing so, He brought peace and stability to a recovering empire, without making noise or chasing glory. History remembers him not for dramatic reforms or grand speeches, but for something far rarer, knowing when to act by not acting at all. Now, let's break it down into the key takeaways you won't want to forget. In the early Han Dynasty, one figure stood out not for being the most brilliant general or the most visionary statesman, but for being remarkably balanced in his abilities. Cao Can was a man of moderation, a rare kind of talent known as well-rounded competence. What does it mean to possess such a trait? Unlike those who shine dazzlingly in one area, a person with this kind of strength combines multiple capabilities in harmony. Cao Can could command troops on the battlefield, having earned his place through notable victories. He could also govern effectively, steering the country through years of service without serious blunders, even when simply following his predecessor's policies. At first glance, such a person might seem average, but mediocrity is not balance. Mediocrity implies the absence of skill. Balance, on the contrary, is about having many talents, none exaggerated, all integrated. Consider this contrast. In warfare, Cao Can was no match for Han Xin, who was a pure military genius. Han Xin once boasted to the emperor that while Liu Bang could command 10,000 men, he could command any number. A comment he quickly corrected. But the damage to imperial trust had been done. Later, after conquering the Qi state, he refused to help Liu Bang in battle until he was named king, a grave political misstep for any minister. Han Xin's failure lay not in military tactics but in his lack of political wisdom. Once the wars ended, his usefulness dwindled. In contrast, Cao Can understood both war and governance, making him a versatile asset in peacetime as well as during conflict. Yet even in politics, Cao Can wasn't the best. Xiao He excelled in statecraft crafting laws, calming the people with clear rules, and laying the legal foundation of the Han state. Cao Can never reached that level of administrative brilliance. But Xiao He, for all his political acumen, wasn't much of a field commander, and largely stayed behind the scenes as a logistician. So why is Cao Can's legacy still praised? Because true balance is rare and powerful. While others excelled in one domain, Cao Can could function in many. None of his talents were extreme, but their combination within a single person was a gift few others could offer. More importantly, he recognized his strengths and limits. He accepted that he wasn't as brilliant a general as Han Xin, so he followed orders without pride. He acknowledged he wasn't as skillful a statesman as Xiao. So he carried out existing policies without trying to reinvent them. He didn't chase glory. He didn't try to outshine others. He believed that not causing problems was a form of success, especially in the delicate aftermath of empire building. And he was right, because sometimes quiet competence sustains what brilliance alone cannot. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this journey into history and insight, don't forget to subscribe for more stories that reveal the wisdom behind the ages.